How about now? Can you hear me now? I bet you can. Like I said, knobs and buttons, getting used to everything all over again. How about now? I literally can't tell, so hopefully you can hear me. Um, Again, I am Madame Onça. Is it better now? Wait, still? Hang on. Oh, you can hear me now? Okay, never mind. Like I said, it's been a while. I haven't done this I haven't been able to get back to you in so long, but I'm here now. Yay! Hi, BLC Blondie. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kathy, for being here. So, for anybody who doesn't know, this technologically challenged person is Madame Onça. It is my pleasure to share some tarot information with you tonight. It's going to be a little different than it's been, not only because I'm just getting my feet back into the digital waters, but also I've got new things going on tarot wise. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. This is Nat 21 Adventures Twitch channel, and although Twitch is typically for gaming and apparently now for women in hot tubs, it is also Twitch is here for witches. And yeah, I've just been trying to get myself back in here. My name is Madame Onça. I am the artist and co-author of the World Spirit Tarot, although you may know that if you're here with us now. So some of you perhaps caught this in our crafting video. Oh, thank you. Caught in our crafting with the crew video the other day, or I did a bit of an unboxing video at some point this week. So this is the second edition of my deck. So I apologize to those of you that are hearing this again. I'll try to keep it brief. The second edition of my deck, the World Spirit Tarot, it was self-published. The original was done by Llewellyn. It was done in both English and Spanish, blah, blah, blah. Many years elapsed, and then they were nice enough to give me back the rights so that I could publish myself. Now, if you have never been published or self-published, there are some things that you probably don't know. One, what you are paying a publisher for is to do all the unfun parts. So in the old days, my deck probably Llewellyn sold it and it's distributed around the world. People started stealing it from stores because they liked it. They had to recall them all and put them in really big, bulky packaging in order to discourage the light-fingered witchy types of the world, apparently. So they did all that. They made them, they laid them out, they got them around the world, they loaded them into cargo ships, whatever it was that was involved in getting the deck around the world. And in return, as an artist and author, you get like, I don't know, it was literally something like 25 cents a deck or something like that for every $25 product that went out back in the day. I might have been mad, but that is actually pretty standard issue. That's why authors want to be best-selling authors, New York Times bestsellers, because you don't make that much money on each product, which fortunately in my case, this was a labor of love. Yeah, it's for real, man. So, and I made sure, I actually was lucky enough to have another publisher from another publishing house went through my contract with me because I was literally a kid living in a yurt hauling my own water. Like, what do I know about legal contracts? I had a publisher go through the contract with me and explain what is boilerplate. Interestingly, this was way back then, and there were clauses about who owned the rights for they were really trying to look into the future. They knew the future would be different. So it was, there's the printed right, there's the digital right. Like if you were to do, say, an audio version of a tarot deck, it was like holographic in any medium moving forward throughout the known universe. That's literally what it said. So my contract was pretty standard. So I didn't complain. I was just grateful. And I never had to learn another thing about the publishing industry. So eventually, many years go by, Llewellyn gives me back the rights so that I can self-publish. That's cool. Except publishing is hard. I knew how to make art. I knew how to read cards. I knew how to teach and get people excited about the subject material. I had a wealth of anecdotal information from years of working with the cards and studying, but I don't know shit about graphic design, about how a person actually lays out a book, like style guides. Frankly, although I love words, I'm not real clear on the difference between a semicolon and a colon. One I have in my body, one I do not. Some of you may have a semicolon. I don't know. So when I published this, moral of the story is it was the very best that I could do based on the information that I had. over time, I got to look at it and go, oh, right, well, that's actually a typo that got by, or the color saturation was a little dark on one of these, some of these prints and so forth. So when I ran out of inventory, sold 1,000 of these, I ran out of inventory and knew it was time to make another batch. I actually got a real graphics and editing person on board, and 1,000,000 hours, dollars, months later, we got this one. This is the one that just came in this week. It is essentially the same product. It is still the second edition, but new paper, incredible book layout, so much better. And all of the art, we re-scanned and tuned and moderated all the colors in an attempt to make it either truer to the original art or generally more legible. So second edition 1.0, second edition 2.0. So I am going to do some tarot teaching tonight, some sharing information, but I'm going to use my new deck of cards, which I have literally never worked with before. So let me know if you watched any of that, the unboxing stuff that we did last week or heard any of this before. I apologize. It's so new. Also notice it's in a snazzy tuck box rather than the 2-part box. It's also matte, which I'm an old school 90s kid. So I was like, but glossy is cool, or glossy is more likely to resist coffee and wine stains. But apparently this matte look is what the kids are using. And it is known for being more, what is the equivalent of legible for images? Accessible? Whatever the word is. You can see it better, legible, but for your eyes. Apparently this matte look is better for the internet. So hooray, here we are. Yes, a new deck. So slides out. Also, if there's anything in particular that you'd like to work on tonight, please let me know. I must admit, so it's accessible. Thank you. I must admit, I don't have a ton of prepared material. I literally got here by the hair of my chinny chin chin, but I'm glad to be here. It's a busy few weeks here in Awesome Town. Look at that crazy box. I will say the shipping is slightly lighter, slightly less expensive now, because the difference between this box and this box apparently is a noticeable quantity of a pound. So that's an unexpected savings, literally. Snazzy book. Book, also similar, but again, you can see it's more matte. It does have this snazzy, see those tabs on the side? They don't show up super well in this light, but those are a section about cards, majors and minors, and it has this lovely, what did the lady call it? It's like a 5-page card index at the back. So there's like a quick referral for all of the cards. Anyway, Jaylee, she did a hell of a job, and we spent many, 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 many hours. You think you already knew everything out of a book you wrote until you have to spend 1,000,000 hours on it. So, snazzy new book. Not signed because I opened this one myself. And then here's the cards. It's a thicker cardstock than we had before. It does have 2 bonus cards. It's a long story. Index. Thank you, Mabo. 2 extra cards. One is just a trade card for anybody. For anybody who's familiar with the first edition that came out in 2000 or so. This was the back. So that is a little shout out to the people who are really into the retro. There's the modern back, a little bit more complex. So this is just a trade card. So you can be like, oh yeah, you like this deck? Here, go look it up. The other thing that I did is I popped in a second magician card. This is the original magician card from the original deck. I have since replaced this card with an image of a certain juggler that I know. But I did realize it was made clear to me that while I really love the second image and the person in it, it's important that, representation is always important, and taking out a brown guy to replace him with a white guy, not everybody needs that. Some people really want to see the magician as a person of color. So now we have both options. The important part is if you get this deck, you better take one or the other one out. I'm going to take out that one just because I'm partial to the other magician card, because it is a picture of my dearly beloved. I will say this, because the stock is thicker, it feels in my hand like this deck might be, I've just made a fantastic artistic mess over here. The deck feels a little different in my hand. Here's my second edition, first style. Look how shiny and new it is. It's actually wider because the stock is thicker. So for those of you that really struggled with this deck being big, it's still big. Someday I will be able to make a smaller version, but maybe we'll save that for the fourth or fifth iteration. So anyway, what do you want to do today? Other than listen to me talk about cards and look at my shiny, shiny, shiny face. Get yourself some tea, perhaps water, perhaps iced tea, perhaps something a little more potent, depending what you're up for. Again, for anybody just joining us, I am Madame Onça, and I am the artist and co-author of the World Spirit Tarot. I have just essentially unboxed from the box a brand new version of this deck, which is so big and exciting. It's going to take me a minute to shuffle. I am glad to be getting back to a world where I can work with people face to face. While it has been a pleasure learning that I can, in fact, read cards. Hello, Sally. It's been a pleasure learning to read over the internets and to find out that that is, in fact, a thing that I can do. You know, it's very much an energy thing, if you want to put it that way. It's very much sort of getting attuned to the other person. So it was nice to find out I could do that over the internet. But I do miss seeing you face to face. So sometime when we're in the same place, maybe I can read cards for you. Oh my gosh, they feel so different. It's like they're so... when I say they feel like plastic, I mean it in a good way. It's that they feel thicker and sturdier. I could probably shingle a fairy's house with these and keep the rain out, even though they are, in fact, just a nicer grade of cardstock. My sales rep at the publishing place actually was thrilled by them and hoped that I would be happy too, which I am. You know what I should have done before I shuffled them was talk about some of the cards. If you're just joining me now, typically this session starts with me doing I don't want to say a lecture section, but a bit of an infotainment section before we get to reading cards. Ooh, look at that. Because I know watching me look at the cards probably isn't the most exciting thing. Look at that. Look at that. If you're familiar with Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes, he employed a comic routine that gets used in my house very often by the young people, which is staring at somebody else's chin and making a series of strongly reactionary faces as if you were having a conversation. This thing happens in my house all the time, and this is what I feel like I'm doing. You get to see my face go, ooh. So Kathy was asking, how does it glide? The 2.0 is slippery AF. These ones, because they're matte, they have they're smooth. Maybe you can hear the sound. This is tarot ASMR, whatever that is. Yeah, you can really enjoy the sliding, shuffling. This is the sound. Always makes me think of corduroys, like whalebone corduroys sliding past each other between your knees, because you grew up in the 70s, maybe, or the rustling of leaves. Yes, slide. So far, so good. As I said, they're a little bigger in my hand this way, so I really will have to make a commitment to make something small for the future people. Look at you go. Sometimes I also have a second camera set up and everything, but as it is, I'm just happy to have gotten here. Does it say nice baby? In order to not have a glare in my eyes, I have taken off my glasses. Yeah, the color looks good. Interesting. By way of teachy components, what I think I'd like to do today, as I said, I should have done this before I got them all shuffled, but I was so excited. I'm going to walk through a few of the major cards. So if you've been following in sequence with us, as perhaps some of you have, maybe BLC Blondie, maybe a couple folks have, I would encourage you to get out some of your major arcana cards. You never unhear whalebone cards. Nice. So get out your deck of choice, and you want to get out your Fool, You want to get out your magician. You want to get out your high priestess. Let's say get out those first, at least those first 7 cards. As I said, I should have done this before. But it is a nice opportunity to get in here and say hello to every card. As you may know, if you are a student of the tarot, there are variations in how the major arcana are ordered. Aloha! Nice to see you. I'm looking forward to our online conversation interview coming up in a few weeks. As you may know, if you're a fan of the tarot or a student of the tarot, there are variations in the ordering system. So it is possible, if you have like the Book of Thoth or some other decks that are made in that sort of same family, you may find that your card numbering system in the majors is slightly different. And the reason for that exceeds the scope of this casual get-together. But know that it has to do with folks aspiring to wed the tarot, which perhaps evolves sort of organically over time to existing philosophical systems or metaphysical systems, trying to fit the cards in the tarot to astrology, Kabbalah, a number of other systems that were of great excitement to the folks at the time. And so they moved some things around in order to try to make that work. So you ultimately get to decide what you like. But if somebody insists that that way is the only way, they are mistaken. There is no one way to do anything with the tarot. There is no one way to store them. There is no one way to use them. There is no one way to handle them. Any of those things, it is an evolving system, fundamentally a folk way, and you get to do it how you want. So I'm just digging through right now and getting my first 7 cards, which I will share with you. That's going to be the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess. What am I missing? There is a rule in the tarot that whatever card is that you're looking for, it is always going to be the furthest from your hand. So here's my Chariot, Hierophant, and the Lovers. So I'm looking for my Empress. Let's see. Here's my Universe card. The Major Arcana, as you may know, again, if you're just joining us for the first time and don't know a whole lot about tarot, I will try to cover some background here, but I know that a number of our friends here on Twitch have been with us before. So the tarot is divided into several families of cards. We have the Major Arcana and the Minor Arcana. Arcana, of course, means secrets. So these are the major secrets and the minor secrets. We today are going to take time to talk about some of the major secrets. In practical terms, what the Minor Arcana and the Major Arcana do for you, very generalized here. The majors are about the big narrative arc of your sort of life story, as it might be summed up right now. And the minors are more about the sort of the plot points rather than the pivotal events. That's a sort of a way to imagine it. Were your life to be a metaphysical screenplay. So these major cards, they are sort of the like dun dun dun, the big exciting cards that get sensationalized in the movie. Between you and I would say that the major cards are often the easiest cards to read because they are almost emoji-like. They shout at you what they're about. Even if they have like a subtext, they still shout it at you. Some of the minor cards are actually much more nuanced. And we have been through a great number of those in this show previously. So we're jumping from our minors to our majors in recognition of the fact that it's been a while since we've been together. And frankly, I'm really excited to see the color in this new edition of the deck. I will share each of these with you. Let's see. So Jonathan is writing in a person of Hawaii. I assume perhaps you are there now. That is why I'm a fan of your deck not having the majors numbered. Well, that allows you, that's a great point. So in the second edition, if you need those cards to be unnumbered in the second edition of my deck, which is the one with the 2-part box, the majors are unnumbered. So many folks wanted them to be numbered that in the second edition, second printing, we do have numbers. So now you know, Jonathan, that you want to grab that other edition. Part of what we did here was a lot of color adjustment on this round of printing to try to make a different relationship with the skin tone of all the people of color. I felt like in the previous edition, some of them were darker than I had intended or blurrier than I had intended. I had worked really hard to make representational skin tone, and again, not a master of of the old photo adjustment and saturation. So this is another go at it. Let us begin with the Fool card. And for those of you, again, like Jonathan, I know some of you are avid tarot fans out there. If there's something that you'd like to throw up in the comments, I'm happy to speak to it. But here in my tarot chat today, we're going to start talking about the Fool. So when you're reading cards for yourself, for friends, for clients, we set the intention. You follow your own card reading protocol, whatever you have learned, invented, or inherited. Perhaps you just vibe the cards and you get the feeling. Some people seem to be truly receptive or psychic in that way. Perhaps you read your way through the cards one sort of interview at a time. I like to speak the cards aloud to the person I'm reading to, because as a person who's been teaching between dance and tarot and art, I've been teaching for so many years. I assume that everybody wants to know not just their fortune, but also what the cards are and what the mechanisms are. So I'm talking. I'm going to talk you through them. When you've laid out a spread, which is a whole series of cards for folks in response to a query, the first thing that you look for is repetition. Is there a pattern? Are there more majors than minors? Are there more people cards than anything else? Are certain numbers reiterated? Are we saying, wow, it's so weird, you got 3 sevens? Are the figures in the cards predominantly men? Are there lots of animals? Are there lots of pentacles, like a repetition of the same suit? So if anything means anything in a timey-wimey, choicey-woicey universe, we assume for the purposes of working with tarot cards that those repetitions matter, that they are indicative. So like for right now, I'm looking down at 8 because I have 0 through 7. So there's my 8 cards. I have 8 tarot cards in front of me. Were this a spread, it's all majors. I would go, wow, friend, you're having a very big day, week, month, year, life. That's a lot of major cards. And I would encourage you to always find the most diplomatic way to let somebody know that their deck is loaded, as it were. So we're going to start with the Fool. Again, if you're just joining me right now, my name is Madame Onça. Thanks for joining us here on the Net 21 Adventures Twitch. This channel is generally committed to gaming. We have games all week, D&D, Goblonia, other gaming systems, but we do like to offer some other sort of variety programming as well. There's sonnets with Shakespeare. There's this. We also have Glamour Hobo Bedtime Tales on Monday night. One of our cast members with a mellifluous voice will read you stories. And here's the tarot part. We're going to start talking about the Fool. If you have a Fool card, take a gander. Here is mine. I will endeavor to hold it up. I'm afraid the color will only be so true because, of course, I'm surrounded by ring lights and so forth. But you can see, in general, there is a figure sort of joyfully, perhaps obliviously, stepping off some precipice. Sometimes it is a cliff or a roof, or they're stepping over the mouth of a crocodile. There's many, many iterations of this card, but typically what we see, a solo figure, heads up in the clouds. Sometimes they have the bindle stiff over their shoulder, stepping off a precipice. There's usually some sort of little animal, usually a dog, can be other things, sort of nipping at their heels. Sometimes they're pulling on their cloak or their belt. In some of the very old versions, I've got one where the person, the Fool, appears to be a man, and their hose have fallen down and the dog has leapt up and bit them on the testicles. There's always some sense of an attempt to engage between the beastie and the hominid in the image. This card, when it comes up, often speaks to this being a great time to step into the unknown. Although we think of, don't be foolish, you don't want to be perceived as a fool. The Fool, in the context of the caste system of the Middle Ages, we're going to call it that, the social structure, and in the metaphysical way that we describe it here in the tarot, the Fool exists outside the rules. That's the whole point. Physics don't apply to them. The normal social strictures don't apply to them. So when the Fool steps off the cliff, it turns out they can fly. So typically when the Fool comes up, it is saying that thing you've been thinking about daring to do, go for it. The universe would like to support you at this time. What is the little dog or other sort of psychopomp, the other little critter say? Some folks say it represents your conscience, like, hey, it's not such a good idea, maybe you should think about it. Sometimes some folks say it represents your survival instincts, saying, weigh the choices you're making. Some folks say it is just literally a sort of a representation of another part of yourself. So tarot, you get to add layers and layers of interpretation. There are historical meanings that have accrued barnacle like to the underside of each of the cards. So it's great for you if you're interested in knowing all the sort of historical levels of symbolism. But you also get to say, I'm scared of dogs. That dog's biting him in the testicles. That doesn't make me feel good. What does that make me think of? And how is that relevant to what this card has to tell me? The tarot, while it is rooted in centuries of history, always is giving you a personalized message. So in the Fool, we see the universe saying, go for it. It'll probably be fine. That being said, the other cards around it are going to affect it. So if you get the Fool card and it is surrounded by cards that are all trauma and woe, please take that into account. I always think that the expression is the card is dignified by the company that it keeps. So if your Fool is surrounded by cards of success and vitality and communion and financial abundance, that's great. If your Fool is surrounded by cards of danger, peril, and a fall from great heights, please make note. Jonathan says, I love that your Fool is holding a bird instead of a flower and the other birds that fly around, right? See there, thank you for noticing. It was very important to me also to make a Fool card that wasn't a man. Historically, almost all Fool cards are male. No particular reason. I mean, I suppose in medieval times, if you were the Fool and you had that as your job, you were probably a man. I don't know of any female jesters, honestly, back in history. But we in the modern era, that's not what this is about. That being said, some of you may know that my partner, who is a juggler, is literally the Fool of a castle in England. The castle that Tom Fool worked at. So I developed a different kind of insight into what that whole Fool thing meant, having in some way some sort of connection or access to like what that tradition is in the European sense. So the Fool, awesome. Now we're going to go from the Fool. This is often known as the Fool's journey. The Fool who knows nothing and sort of blunders joyfully into the universe with all of their senses wide open, accompanied by their birds and their beasts. It's almost a little bit like Cinderella, having her dress made for her. All the creatures of the forest, and the mice or whatever. Or also like Snow White with the little bird. This is a princess of a different caliber. She is fearless. She is a person of size, and she's about to jump off your roof. We go from the Fool to the Magician card. Now, did I put them away? So here's the Magician card from my first deck. Again, we see here sort of Afro-Caribbean mystical practitioner surrounded by the tools of their rites. We see on the back wall what are probably the Veve of Erzuli and Legba opening, sort of the gateway between the worlds and the heart, but in a very appropriate way. Or no, approximate way, sorry. So we see here the Magician, that is that earlier iteration. Then once I realized how jugglers actually use their hands, this is in fact my partner, the juggler. But same temple, same island in my mind. That is an island in Puerto Rico, but of course it could be anywhere that is verdant and pine treesy. So when the Magician card comes up, again, anybody in the comments is welcome to chime in. But the Magician card usually comes up around empowerment. The Fool knows nothing and is stumbling forward into the world. The Magician says it is time to begin to know. It is not enough to feel and experience. It is time to develop skills. It is time to develop wisdom. So the Magician is typically a figure of some description. They are usually one hand maybe is up and one is down, saying as above, so below, which is just a sort of fancy mystical way of saying everything is interconnected. Heavens, earth, humans, cosmos, all the critters. There's usually a sort of a sense of up and downness. And frequently we see the symbols of all of the suits in the tarot, all of those minor arcana. Those are swords, which represent air, intellect, and decisions. Those are pentacles or coins, which represent the element of earth and our material resources we have to work with. Those are cups or chalices, which represent water and our sort of emotional lives, selves, and experiences. And then wands, which are, or clubs, which are fire, passion, drive, career, ambition, etc. So the magician typically is surrounded by all the symbols of the suit, which is to say, hey, fool, it's time that you learn a little bit about everything. So when the magician card comes up, it says, time to engage, time to learn, explore, to begin to catalog and move from that raw, uninformed, blissful state to becoming more of a engaged participant in your environment and a decider in your future. So, magician. Do 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 do. Hey on, hey on, hey on. How about now? Now gone. Now on. What if I don't touch the mic at all? What if I don't even acknowledge that it exists? We'll just keep moving and hope for the best. Technology, am I right? I became a tarot person, and for many, many years, I was touring and performing, teaching belly dancer. I'm a block printer. All of these things are very like hands-on sort of analog arts. I'm no enemy of technology, but I have to say it doesn't always speak to me. Okay, so we go from the magician, mastery, woo, or honestly, it's the beginning of the process of trying to learn a little bit about everything. Then we come to the high priestess. The high priestess is often depicted as one traditional image is the Pope, but a lady. And there's a lot of interesting stories about that. If you're not familiar with the legend and or history of Pope Joan, I highly encourage you to look it up. There is some very interesting historical backing for the notion that there was a female pope. One of the reasons being that now when you are elected pope, they make you sit in a chair with a hole through the middle, and all of the cardinals walk underneath and look up. Once again, here we are at testicles. They look up and go, that is definitely a guy. Why would they do that if it's not just like a wackadoo fetish situation? Could be, but why? I tend to think that every crazy clause in a lease, the reason that's there is because a previous tenant made it necessary, right? There's a reason it says, thou shalt not put cat litter down the sink in my apartment. There's a reason that cardinals feel compelled to check the testicles of the incoming pope and make sure they're there. That reason could be Pope Joan. So the high priestess is frequently either a depiction of a very priestly sovereign sort of lady, or in my case, it's much more of a neo-pagan angle on the same thing. We see here the high priestess. And here she is out in her circle amongst the trees, the cathedral of the trees under the moonlight. I wish you could see the color is a little crazy washed out in all of this stage light. But anyway, you can see, and while she stands there holding her veil in the wind, she is simultaneously transformed into some sort of non-human sentient entity you can see in her shadow. So what's that high priestess all about? If the magician represents the fool coming to awareness of the outside world, if I kick things, I hurt my toe. If I drop the egg, it breaks. If I stick my hand on the fire, it burns. The magician is sort of the concrete aspect, and the high priestess is the developing of an awareness of a deep inner life. So when she comes up, she says, hey, you, it's not all on the outside of you. Remember to take time to write in your journal. Remember to take time to Take a walk in nature. Remember to take time to listen to your dreams and listen to your gut instincts. The high priestess very much encourages you to have some kind of inner quiet or inner meaningful life. She says, take some time away from the hubbub. Turn off your notifications sometimes and just listen to the screeching of the cicadas instead of the screeching of the internet. There's our priestess. Love her. This is actually the second iteration of this priestess as well, but the other one never even made it to print. She's somewhere back on the Facebook feed for the World Spirit Tarot. You can find it. My original image of her was much more, I'm going to say sterile, and I don't mean that in the sense of like child rearing, but it was like a nude figure, very sort of 70s witchcraft, satanic chic, doing this. You know, she was in the sort of death posture with her eyes shut in an inside temple. And it was to me, it was a powerful image, but it lacked some of the feral joy that I associate with an aspect of the priestess. So I like that print, but I felt it was not appropriate for this deck. So you can find it out there and you'll know where this high priestess came from. Jonathan says that shadow has so much motion in it. I love that you turn the black and white columns into dark and light trees. Thank you very much. Incidentally, in the traditional rendering of the priestess card in the Rider-Waite-Smith version, very pomegranate-y, very, again, sort of Old Testament-y feeling. She's standing between these two columns. One is black, one is white. They actually say B, and she's got a big cross in her chest, J. And then, to me, I know it's supposed to be Boaz and Joaquin, however you pronounce that. They're the name of the pillars in the temple in Jerusalem. I always thought it said Ben and Jerry's. So, with all the pomegranates behind her, I just always thought she looked like some sort of metaphysical ice cream commercial. So I wanted a different way to communicate this notion of the cathedral quality, that temple quality. So we jump from the Fool. Look at me, I'm alive, I'm experiencing. The Magician, you are beginning to learn, catalog, experience physics, consequences, be able to anticipate what might happen based on past experience. It's almost like you've entered the time stream. And then the high priestess says, yeah, but don't get caught up in all that. It's not just external noise. Then we come to the Empress. The Empress, again, tends to be very sort of, she can represent the Mother Earth principle. She can be very fertile, abundant, creative, and so forth. I never want anyone to feel put off by her because she's too fertility. What is happening? Oh, that, my friends, is Murder Beast. Anyone who has never seen the Sleeping Creature. Oh, hey.
Yes, that was an accident. I was gonna sneak into the backstage and kind of do some assist for tech.
Great.
But I accidentally got put right on stage. So
I like that you're hiding behind the cat. Anyone who doesn't know, this is Mab, just Mab. She is one of my shenanigan pals of decades now, and this is Murder Beast, who is a very warm, fuzzy, charming, paraplegic cat. So when he lays on you, he stays there.
I'm having a hard time. It's like trying to operate. I can't get backstage.
Well, this makes me feel better about my audio problems because I had no control over that at all. So that's Murder Beast and Mabo Jabbo. And thank you for any assist that you care to give because, takes a village. So the Empress, I never want anybody to feel put off by her as being too like Mother Earthy. If you're somebody who's not into that, that notion of like women as vessels of earth and all that stuff, not the point really. The point is that whatever kind of body you have, whatever kind of gender you have, whatever kind of relationship you have to the life force or whatever, the Empress says, you are in a body. Please try to enjoy it. She is not here for you to engage in starvation and scourging unless that's somehow really enjoyable to you. She is Our Lady of Eat Dessert First. She is thoroughly relaxed. I honestly thought that Mab and the cat appearing on the couch was some sort of commentary on the Empress because they look like the paragon of relaxed comfort. So here we see she's very much reclining under the Polonia tree, sometimes known as a princess or empress tree. There's avocados. Everything about her says, have a spa day, take some time for yourself. Pleasure is not the problem. Like, enjoy living in the world. Take a walk, feel the sun on your skin if that's what you're into. She very much is life affirming. She can be life generating if your friend or your client is asking about, having babies or, that kind of thing. Like, she can be giving you a thumbs up, but she's not exclusively for that. She has so much more to say about our hominid condition. Now we go from the Empress to the Emperor. You might say that they represent mom stuff at its best and its worst. Because, of course, the Empress, in addition to being all that warm and fuzzy stuff, she can also say, I gave you life and I can take it away. Don't make me come over there and smack that expression right off your face. Likewise, the Emperor, as the sort of father principle, if we want to call it that, represents all that is both best and worst in society. So most versions of the Emperor, big gray bearded guy. He looks like your classic Jehovah, Jupiter, older, judgmental, beardy dude, Santa Claus type. So this is, essentially the same thing here as my Emperor. I did turn him away from judging the viewer directly to overseeing his realm. That was a choice that I made. You'll see he has sort of a big picture. He's looking out over everything. He's not really engaged with individual affairs so much as overseeing the whole of his landscape. What does the Emperor mean for you when he comes up in a reading? Yes, enjoy nature and swim in a waterfall. Absolutely. And then eat the avocado. The Emperor says, everyone benefits when the trains run on time. Oh, look at that. Thank you so much. Magically, these things appear. Look, no hands in the comments appear. Ha I love magic. So the Emperor is structure. He represents all that is best and worst. So he is roads that are drivable, 911 that actually can find you and make a difference. He is libraries. He is schooling. He is everything that comes from infrastructure that works. Now, at its worst, this is sort of the fatherhood principle taken to pushed all the way into the negative, and suddenly we have dogmatism, despotism, dictators. Just the General Woundwort from Watership Down, if you're that kind of nerd. Fascism. So at best, nurturance. I've made a safe container for society to unfurl its glory. I have made the living room safe for the baby. At worst, it is everything is in lockdown. Everyone is wrapped in bubble wrap and no one can do anything ever. So the Emperor. Depends how you feel about father issues. So there we have gone so far from the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess. The Empress is sort of like awareness of the mom and all that. And then the Emperor is, the dad and all that. Then we come to the Hierophant, and we have just a few more cards, and then we'll see if I can maybe read a card or two for people. The Hierophant, typically an image of a sort of papal figure, once again, sitting on their throne with people supplicating. I wanted to make something that spoke to the notion of hierarchy. That's very much part of what the Hierophant is about. But I wanted to make it not European for a change. Thank you very much. So mine is essentially a Mesoamerican version of the same. It still speaks to the notion of the knower, the person who is possessed of the information, and the folks who are coming and asking for information. When the Hierophant comes up, it says, go to grad school, get the certification, be willing to do the work and be humble to benefit from stepping into the stream or the torrent, nay, of tradition. There are times in life when we go, tradition bad, I want to make my own way. However, the Hierophant is here to say that there are times and places when everything that you need to know is already known. Why invent the wheel? But you have to be willing to do the work to learn from somebody who already knows. The Hierophant. Comedy fact, I actually misspelled the Hierophant. I am the wordiest wind Scrabble person that I know, but I actually misspelled the Hierophant and my spell check never caught it. So newsflash, it's spelled correctly in this deck. I can't tell you how embarrassing that was for me to, but when else in our lives do we use the word Hierophant. So this is a great card. It can be hard for you if you are a person who struggles with structure, because he can feel bossy. He's literally saying, I have the information. You want it? Get down and kneel. but he knows. Now, I know that Jonathan has a. I love that the 4 suits are on the side of the balcony that the Emperor stands on. Yes, thank you for noticing. Stepping back to the Emperor card, where they're standing in the balcony, everything is sort of built in to the stone railing as they look out over the city. Thank you. And I wanted him to look like he was paying attention, but not, again, not so judgmental. Some of the images, he's very like stormy and stony, as if like there's nothing you could say that would ever bring any warmth to his stony lap and heart. And like, believe me, I've got my father issues, but he's not only that. Now we come from the Hierophant, we come to the Lovers. Lovers card. I always like to speak in acknowledgement of the Cosmic Tribe Tarot, which was a great, it's lasted well if you are a person who is not afraid of nudity and LGBTQIA positivity. It is an early, I'm going to say it was Photoshop, whatever our early photo manipulation programs were. Stevie Postman made this beautiful deck called Cosmic Tribe. Everyone in it is naked. Everyone in it is queer. There are people of every color, body type. It's very psychedelic. It's a little like Alex Gray meets Aleister Crowley. It's very joyful and vivacious. Everyone's got, piercings and tattoos and crazy hair and all kinds of stuff. It's very fun. It's very photo collage-y. The point is that they're 3 lover cards in that one, so you can pick, because representation matters. There's a male presenting and female presenting couple. There's a femme and femme, and there is a masculine presenting couple. So the Lovers card, it's not just about sex. It's not about gender and orientation, but that was Stevie Postman's attempt to find a way to make sure that the deck was welcoming to people who aren't going to go, oh, the Lovers, it's a man and a woman, and that's not really me, and I guess I just don't belong here in this society, in this tarot deck on this earth. Representation makes things better. My attempt to handle that same issue was to make it very androgynous. One is intended to be left guessing what the gender of these people are. One of my favorite Lovers cards, and I love that the figures are non-binary. Thank you. I appreciate so much that you notice and sometimes have better words than I do. Yeah, it was really important to me to offer that, and also to make like race not the point. The figures behind them, the cherubs have got different colors and different kinds of wings going on, and Quan and Panyin, the deities that are represented behind them, also have different things going on. It's intended to all sort of flow together as a whole. What is the Lovers card actually about? If it comes up in a reading, if you are asking a question about like, hey, does so-and-so at work like me like that, and you get the Lovers card, that could be a nudge in the direction of yes. However, the Lovers card historically also used to be known as the Twins. So it's not so much, which one hopes that the Twins and the Lovers in the modern millennia, that they're not the same, doing the same things. The Lovers card typically speaks to this notion of balance. If you would like to, there's a certain amount of like self-love and self-acceptance that is really useful if you would like to be emotionally available to other people. So when the Lovers card comes up, it says, can you find a balance between, love and lust, like passion and compassion? Can you find a balance? What are your goals here? And can you find a mix you can live with? So the Lovers card to me is, yes, sex and romance, but also comes with so much more potential and also homework. And now we'll come to the Chariot. That'll be the last card that we touch on today for low between technical issues and whatnot. We've already come to almost an hour. The Chariot card, traditionally we see, yes, this is my very favorite. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you. And I'm glad that it speaks to you. That is so important. So important. You have to understand, everybody, that as an artist, every time I make a choice, a lot of this was just, I'm not going to say it's channeled, but a lot of this is like I absorb all the information, I read everything I can, I study everything I can, I look at everything I can, and then there's a certain amount of like distillation. You just take it all in and then let the pencil start to move. And sometimes you go back and make an editorial decision and say, you know, this person turns out that person compositionally should be on the left, or I'm not sure what kind of animal that was supposed to be. I'm going to have to pick, is it a horse or a goat? Like sometimes you get in there with an editorial mind, certainly. But I spend a lot of time just trying to do the groundwork study-wise and then spirit-wise to make space for good art, useful art to come through. I'll put it that way. Sometimes I literally don't know why something is on one side or the other. It wasn't all intellectually driven. Sometimes it, you know, came through other muses were at work, which is great. It's nice to get out of the way of my own intellect sometimes. So every time you draw anything in the tarot, you are saying, you know, well, if representation matters, as we know it does, like, do I need to make every figure a full figure? Do I make every figure a non-binary figure? Like the point was to create not a monoculture of all of this is different and now there's 78 things that are different. At that point, you know, monoculture is always bad. So trying to create diversity meant that sometimes I was going to have a skinny high priestess, you know, and I don't ever want anybody to go, oh, figures, the high priestess is skinny, or figures, the lovers are, you know, the cool, you know, multiracial couple. That's not me. Like I can't do everything for everybody. All I can do is try to kick the door open and say, but see, there's lots of kind of stuff. Welcome here. So I'm glad. Is it Patrice? I'm glad that you guys feel represented by that and it all worked out. What did you say, Mabo Jabo, almighty secret moderator? Yes, thank you. Well, let us talk. Speaking of movement, we now shall talk about the chariot. The chariot. Dun, dun, dun. Here we see a figure all dolled up. They are literally in the chariot, and there's a lot of action. There's a lot of motion potential here, but nobody has really quite figured out where they're going. Both of these wonderful sort of zebra chimera beasts are kind of churning water and land. They're looking at each other. Ears are up, ears are down. The birds flying by. There's a lion, like mighty, but definitely just chilling. So there's a lot of potential, but there's not a lot of direction. So a lot of times when the chariot comes up, my teacher used to say, all dressed up and nowhere to go. Hi there. Glad you're here. We were just coming to the end of a section of doing some information sharing about the cards, and then I was going to read some cards for people. So when the chariot comes up, it usually means you are sitting in your car, in your driveway, with a foot on the brake and a foot on the gas, and you're pushing both of them really hard. So as soon as you decide what it's going to be, am I staying? Am I going? Am I getting these chimera beasts pointed in one direction? You have all the power and all the potential. Everything is building. Just trying to figure out how you can release that massive potential in order to begin moving, in order to begin that movement. So if you have any questions about the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, or the Chariot, I am happy to share, happy to touch back on those things. Otherwise, we will move into the section of the evening where I read a few cards for folks. I am happy to read cards for anybody who asks, up to the point where I reach exhaustion. I am happy to do it for free. But if you would like to donate any money to me, here is my PayPal and my Venmo up on the screen. You know, donate generously. Artists all just got through the pandemic by our hair of our chinny chin chins. I don't see any questions about the card, so I must have done a perfect job on the first go of explaining everything. She said sarcastically. But I have done this before, so hopefully I was able to get you to a good place with those majors. I'm out for summer. Yes. Oh, bless you. Bless you, my friend. Good. Well, we will use your liberation as an opportunity to mix up these cards. So I will say in my kids' school, they have been meeting in person all year. And the last day of school was the first day the entire school could be in the same room at the same time. It was very touching to be there. We still were all wearing masks. So we have a question here from Jonathan. Who is the figure in the chariot? I think of it as yourself, you the querent. As far as like who it is in history, I just brought through the most glorious, beautiful, powerful charioteer that I could find on the continent of Africa. But as far as who that is, you, someone who looks great in a smooth ride with some awesome pets. So this is my elegant way of shuffling these cards. I'm just sort of smearing them around the table right now because for anybody who's just joining us, this is the very first time I have used this deck, this particular one, to read. So I'm trying to make sure they are well moved from their factory setting. I am Madame Onça. I am the artist and co-author of the World Spirit Tarot. I am ably assisted on the back end now by a Mab Just Mab. What do we have here? We were dual modalities. I had 5 kids by the end of the year in person. Really? Oh, that is so interesting. I wonder if that was easier or harder. Like you had less kids' bodies to manage, but at the same time, you're trying to go back and forth between the very different needs. Like I'm with you all right now. If I was trying to do a live show or a live class and be fully present with y'all, we could do anything we set our minds to, but it wouldn't be all smooth. Just trying to talk to you here. Turns out we needed some help and some intervention. So the question here, is that my 3rd edition? This is technically just the 2nd edition, but with some fine tuning. I went through the first 1,000 decks and I was running out. So I worked with a publisher. I worked with some graphic designers. I worked with somebody who lays out books. Took my usual product, my book with me and Jessica Godino, and my artwork, and just tried to do a better job of self-publishing on our 2nd go. I will release a true 3rd edition. I want to say in the next few years. I'd like it to be sooner, but if I learned anything in this project, just re-releasing your own book took 6 months. So that's without trying to write a new one. We'll see. But I definitely have some artwork underway to update for the 3rd edition. Okay. Blondie, my friend, it is hard to make sure everyone is on task. Yeah, no doubt. If you would take a big breath in for me, and if you have a particular question, was your question, if I recall, something like, what's it going to be like for you over the summer now that you're not in the classroom? Let's do a reading for that. Take a big breath in. Hey, cards. We haven't spoken in a while. All right. I'm so grateful to everyone who's choosing to spend this hour with me. I'm just going to pull 3 cards for the moment and see how it goes. Ooh, these cards feel different. It's like a worm fizzle. Thank you, Moobot. All right. Just going to pull 3. These are for Blondie, BLC Blondie. New deck, who dis? Standard disclaimers apply. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, this looks great. So, I pulled 3 with a general query. You may notice, if you're a serious reader, you'll notice that I didn't say, this is the past and this is the present, this is the future. These cards were not pulled to be positional. In other words, I said, hey, cards, what do you have to tell me about my friend here and her summer now that she's out of the classroom? So we got 3 cards, and they are all lovely and juicy, I'm happy to say. In the center, we have the Seer of Cups, and I will hold it up to show you in a second. The Seer is analogous to the Princess. So we are talking about a renewal of vigor. We are talking about tenderness and rediscovery. Because it's cups, of course, there's that additional element of again, sort of like emotional reinvigoration, sort of like a renewal of being emotionally available to experiences, novelty, and wonder, like the thrill of not having to try to manage two different universes at once, perhaps. This card, we traditionally see a figure holding a cup, and there's some sort of creature rising out of the cup as if they are in communion. So here is my version of this. This is a picture of Pamela Coleman Smith, who is the. I wish that it looked a little more clear. But Pamela Coleman Smith made the Rider-Waite deck, and she was a fantastic and interesting person, powerful feminist, interesting morality play about the Victorian era, and she was brilliant at bringing through information from the subconscious. So we see here she's sort of looking at a turtle. She's got her hand in the water. There's water droplets. The moon is doing this sort of fantastic psychedelic radiant eclipse action, the waterfall. Everything about this says, I'm fully present in nature. Thank you. I'm fully present in nature. I'm fully present in my nature. I'm feeling my feels. I am taking time to write in my journal. I am taking time to nurture everything that lets me feel new again. It's very much a card of sort of tender feels and wonder. That's how I would describe it. Yeah, it's a great card. You also have the Two of Swords. Swords, of course, are intellect. They are decision making. They are boundaries and communication. And you got the Two, which is really like, golly gosh, what do I want to do? It is about a renewal of options, having the opportunity to make new and fresh decisions, I suppose, because you get to step out of the shape of your daily grind. This card does say, take your time making your decision, but don't hang on forever. If it's a matter of join the gym or not join the gym, don't wait 3 months to join the gym, because at that point, the decision you made was to never join the gym. Procrastinating is still a form of decision. So take your time, be gentle with yourself, but do be prepared to take action. Hence, this figure is weighing their options, listening to their instincts as well as their intellect as they stand over the chasm. So it's a card of power and optionality, but eventually nobody can stay in horse stance forever. So eventually you'll need to make some choices about how to use this moment of freedom that you have. And then you have the Sun. I mean, the Sun is the nicest. It is the jolliest card in the deck. We see here young person on a unicorn. This is probably not only you, but also your students who are like, woo, we are riding a unicorn in the sun, no pants. It's very much a card of benediction. It is said sometimes that this is the ultimate card of sort of celebration. It is the garden party. I will say all of these cards are very outdoorsy. So there's a lot of, there's water, there's air, there's flowers, there's sun, there's moon, there's stars. Everything here suggests to me that whatever nature means for you, you would do well to take your eyes off the screen, ironically, because here you are watching me on the screen. But make sure that you spend some time experiencing nature, whatever that is for you. But yeah, this suggests, look at you. You have time to make new decisions based on what you want to do, on how you want to feel, and how you would like to celebrate this moment in your life. There are no Easter eggs of doom hiding in this reading. So congratulations. All right, and let's do one for Patrice. Do reading, please. Where should I be putting my focus? Take a big breath for me, friend. These cards feel good. If you're just popping in and out, my name is Madame Onça, and I'm the artist and co-author of the World Spirit Tarot. I also play Lady Thekla, the Mummy Minotaur, on the periodically on Nat 21 Adventures games. I am the world's fanciest NPC. Take a big breath in. We're going to pull 3 cards for you. Where should you be putting your focus? The cards are a little cooler. Oh, there we go. There's a little sass. Yeah, hot the spot. Okay. Let's see what we got, friend. Ooh. Whoa. You, my friend, as we said at the beginning of this evening, when somebody gets all major cards, contrary to expectation, you get to say, you have a lot going on. These cards are great, but they're big. So we find ourselves with the Empress in the middle. We have spoken some words about her earlier. The Empress is the one who says eat dessert first, celebrate the skin that you're in, take care of your body, and by extension, the earth. Part of the challenge that the planet suffers is that because some of the dominant paradigms have really put forth the notion that none of this world matters, like starve your body for beauty, flagellate yourself to death for shame, and while you're at it, destroy the earth. Ooh, I touched the mic. Are we still good? Yes. The Empress is like, no. What you need to do is do what you need to do for you. Eat well, sleep in, have sex, eat food, go to the gym, take care of your body as if the earth and your body were your home. So the Empress suggests that is a good place for you to put some of your focus. That is reiterated, interestingly, by the fact on the other side, she is flanked by the universe, another gloriously full-figured person who is dancing their ass off. The universe card, also sometimes known as the world, and I will share the image with you in a second. This comes up to suggest that the universe usually speaks to the end of a cycle in our lives. So when the universe comes up in a reading, it's like, it is graduating from one level to another, or coming to closure with one phase of your life to another. So it's not just day's over, it's done, but there's a real sort of celebratory quality of moving from one accomplishment to another. We see here in the corners symbols of the various elements, the suits. And here she is doing her dance that creates the universe among the stars. So the universe is like, yeah, look at you. Wrap up that thing that you've been doing. Enjoy the skin that you're in and get ready for the next thing, which is the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man comes up. Hi there. Oh my gosh, look at Zia Ali. Hello. I'm just reading with my newly printed cards for the first time. It's very exciting. And you're about to see some of the changes. So the Hanged Man comes up for us to speak to typically to one of two situations. One is literally you're all hung up, like you don't have the information, tools, or sovereignty to move forward at this time. And it's kind of the old ask again later of the Magic 8 Ball. Or the Hanged Man can come up to say, prepare for a long walk to meet your goals. Like the Hanged Man has a vision, has a mission, has a purpose, and it's not an overnight thing. This is the, again, it's the eating ramen for a year because you're saving money to go to grad school. It is the challenge that every parent undertakes by setting their own personal priorities to the side in order to keep little people alive and fed. Like it can be lots of things, but the Hanged Man is all about just deferred pleasures, we might say, or deferred comforts in the short term for long-term betterment. And we see here an image of someone engaged in a sort of a vision quest. They're doing like a long-term personal discipline as part of meditative practice. For anybody who has seen the deck before, you'll recognize this looks slightly different. Here's the Hanged Man. Boo-boo. This version has a different background. It's intended to put a little bit more of the focus on that central figure. Yeah, so here's the Hanged Man. So I would say for you, Patrice, in shorthand, it looks like closing up one phase of your life, feeling really great about it, and getting ready to dig into something substantial. I don't know what you've been thinking about. If it's, whatever, building an addition, writing a book, starting a business, undertaking a vigorous yoga practice. Like I have no idea based on this what it is, but I will tell you, no one in these cards is wearing clothes, incidentally. Just happens to be. There's a girdle of stars. Someone's wearing like a crown and a sheet. Someone else has got like a little sort of sumo diaper situation going on. But whatever it is that you're going to do is it looks like there's a lot in here about how you want to connect with your body. This skin, yeah, and so as far as the art goes, Jonathan is pointing out that the skin tone looks different too. Yes, it was intended to be sort of more of a luminous blue rather than like a deep indigo blue. And that aspect of moderating the color from the original artwork was really hard for me to figure out between the various printings. So here they are. Their skin is more of a robin's egg blue. The background is more of a sort of a berry ombre. So the sky, rather than being a sort of, in fact, the sky in the second edition previously was like this. It was sort of beautiful, but violently red, magenta, and blue, not a lot of blend. And I really wanted to soften that so it didn't look quite so stormy. More meditative, less stormy, and so pink. So I hope that works for you, Patrice. It looks good. It just looks like, I mean, these are big cards. Who would you like to be when you grow up? These cards would like you to make some decisions about that. So yeah. Anybody else? I am reading cards for folks as needed. I will do it by donation. I will do it for love. Whatever you need. I probably have the energy in here to do one more. And if nobody else jumps up, I'll do it for Zia. Or, we can call it Dunsies. So Zia, I want to, yay, you. I want to let you know that I was just telling the good folks here that for folks with small hands, these cards do not make it easier. This deck, if anything, is slightly bigger. And I apologize because I think of you and the small-handed people. I will try to find a smaller format option for the next printing. It's just like it took 6 months to get this part figured out without even trying to undertaking resizing everything. So you're in my mind. So what does Patrice have to say? I've got multiple areas of study going on right now and sitting next to my wife. I think she might like this too. Awesome reading. Yeah, it's this. These cards say, wrap up the old thing, pat yourself in the back for mastery, and jump fully into the rigors of your next thing. And also no pants. Okay, Zia says, I was wondering about coloring the edges might make it slicker and easier to shuffle. Ooh, that's a nice idea. There's a whole culture on the internet of edging the cards and like coloring those in. When you talked about coloring the edges so they weren't white. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole thing. I would start with a very small corner, like get your, black Sharpie or your purple or whatever you want, and just see how it is before you streak a whole side and then learn to live with $50 worth of regret. Give it a little go, but it's totally a thing. People are really into it. Okay, so I'm going to pull a few cards for Zia Ali. She is somebody who has been working with this deck for rather many years. Anything in particular that you want me to check in? Ooh, I colored my edges deep blue. See, look at that. Like this, no, this color. And if there's no particular question, Zia, you just let me know and we'll just say, hey, cards, what do we need to know right now? Awesome. Incidentally, for anybody who's just joining us again, that's fine. We'll just say, what does Zia need to know right now? Anybody who's just joining us, I am Madame Onça, and I am the artist and co-author of the World Spirit Tarot, which I am working with here now. I am reading cards for people for fun and profit. Incidentally, if you are interested in artists and supporting artists, my Patreon is here. Patreon for Madame Onça. By all means, come on over there. Sometimes I'm extremely productive and it is chock full of posts and people get postcards and art in the mail and so forth. And sometimes things are a little crazy and the best you get perhaps is a missive for me on the road, but I do my best to keep folks engaged in the creative process. And Patrice says they colored the edges of their deck in black and they love that. I was always fascinated to note that some people are terrified of my deck because it's too dark. Like there's too much black in it. That to me, as a witchy nighttime type, makes me think, are you afraid of 50% of the day? Like, are you afraid of the dark? Interesting. So thank you for not being afraid of the dark. Colored markers. All right, Zia, we're going to pull 3 cards for you, my old friend. everything. Hmm. Okay, there's something in here. Little sizzle. Okay. Ooh. So, as mentioned previously, there is no one way to read your cards. I tend to spread them out and feel for the cards that are yelling for me. Were we together in the flesh, then I would invite you to pick your own cards based on your feeling. That's something I haven't been able to do since COVID started. I look forward to doing it again. And honestly, these cards, because the cardstock is a little sturdier, might be a little easier to clean too. All right, let's see. The Five of Wands, the Sage of Pentacles, and the Lovers. So we have not yet talked about the Five of Wands. Wands, fire, passion, drive, ambition. Fives, conflict. So when this card comes up, we're talking about conflict in the realm of ambition and passion. Of course, it's feisty. This image actually has a couple people in Brazil doing makulele, which is martial arts with sticks. It's kind of ritualized. It's not super dangerous, but it is based on old machete fighting styles. There's a rooster. It's all very sort of pomp and circumstance. This card is about competition. So when the Five of Wands comes up, some of it is a little bit like puffed up, a little bit of ritualized combat, and some of it can be the competition that we run in our own mind where we prey upon ourselves. So fives, generally speaking, are, it's funny, I'm trying to figure out like how far away from the camera to be that you can actually really see. Of course, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I don't know what you see. Anyway, so we see here two figures. They have sticks. They're whacking at each other. There's a rooster in the front. Going, so conflict, competition. The other cards here are largely benevolent. They're positive cards. So I wouldn't think that this card is so much about like dangerous, heartbreaking competition as it is about engaging in the spirit of drive towards betterment. Then we see the Sage of Pentacles. The Sage is like the king. And I will show you this image as well. Mastery in the outer realm. Pentacles, again, is stuff. It's health and wealth. It's resources. So we're talking about personality that is able to create abundance, safety, nurturance, structure. I happen to know Z is an ardent gardener, so this is pretty much her under her squash arch. And instead of a pig, she's more of a goats and cats person. But we see our king of the suit of earth. And then you've got the Lovers card. And as we talked about earlier, the Lovers card, it can mean literally lovers, romance, sex, passion, drive. It can also mean balance and connection and the kind of self-care and self-love and self-acceptance that allows you to be emotionally authentic and available with other people, whatever the nature of the relationship. So I would say of all of the readings that we've checked into today, Zia, that this is the most sort of multifaceted. Most of them have been a little bit more like, yeah, sis boom bop. And this one is really talking about a bit more emotional range. So yeah, it's really interesting to see. On the one hand, there's all this care, nurturance, literally like hugging, a return to physical contact, a return to emotional nurturance from others, not just what we do for ourselves, like the hands-on stuff here in this house of abundance and plenty. And then over here, there's that little bit of competitiveness and strife. So since the question we asked was basically like, what's going on with Zia with everything, it looks like a little teaspoon of some of each of those aspects in your life. Abundance, self-care, community love, competition, conflict. I don't know, the nature of the work that you're moving into as you are leaning into this new career. if there is competition for bandwidth there, or if it's really more about you trying to find the drive to make yourself your best triple axling figure skater, as compared to the toughest figure skater in your community rink, So that's what the cards have to say. Overall positive, just know that you need to do some self-care. And I think it's wise if you're starting to get out of your house a little bit. It is your temple. It is your shrine, but the huggable people, some of them live outside the house. So I think that's everything. I hope everyone has had fun. I really enjoyed getting to spend the last bunch of time. Ooh, what did you say? What do I need to focus on to make sure that my runes system really take off? Yeah, we'll do one more. All right. Thank you, moderator. I don't know if I missed that. What do I need to focus on to make sure my runes system really takes off? Boop, boop, boop. Would that you were here to fondle the cards. I like it. They slide well. I think it was maybe BLC Blondie was asking like how they feel. They slide, and I think these cards will be, because of the card stock is a little nicer, I think they're less likely to get dinged up around the corner. I know that, while I had very little control over how the other cards aged, here's the other ones. You can see that, where they were cut, that white edge really became the white corner, as if they shredded a little bit during the cutting process. That's the old ones. Fancy your card stock. See, it's kind of a little bit crisper. No shred. Okay. Rune system activate. Trying to feel everything. What do I need to focus on? I'm getting this mental image of runes and rocket fuel. So if you're a sigilling person, maybe bear that in mind. Lovers, lovers, lovers. Y'all are just like the cuddliest bunch of people. So you got not only the lovers card right in the center axis here, which for anybody who's just joining us now, it is the non-binary cuddle fest that is happening as above, so below. Indeed, if the molecules of the universe did not love each other so, we would all of us be floating in a cosmic soup. But all of those molecules want to come together. They want to cuddle, and hence we find ourselves with existence. So here's the lover's card saying you love the thing you do. Keep doing the thing. It is your drive. It is your passion. It is your desire to connect what you're doing with others. That's going to help give it that steam. Now, interestingly, in conjunction with that, you also have the Two of Cups. Tarot folks are going to go, oh yeah, it's almost the same card. The Two of Cups is sort of doubling down and saying, yes, passion, love, connection. Here is the Two of Cups. Once again, we see Kuan Yin and Pan, up above. And we see these two figures who are sort of going, is this how connection works? I'm emerging from my COVID cave. I don't remember how to interact with other people. I'm emerging from my long sleep. I'm emerging from my emotionally damaging relationship. Whatever it is, you may find yourself stepping into a period of your life where it's all about rediscovery of, like, again, new and tender. Those are the words that come to mind. New and tender ways to connect authentically with people. So while you're probably nailing it with all the you've also got the Sage of Wands, right? So he's your mastery of the realm of drive, passion, ambition. It suggests with the Lover's card in the middle that this king, this Sage of Wands with his torch held high is like, we have the spreadsheets, we know the marketing plan, we understand how the industry works. But the Two of Cups is also like, yeah, but it's got to be real. You've got to make it. You've got to make this emotionally relevant and connective for people in order for it to thrive. So it's not just the brain and the plan. It's also the heart and the feels. I know that's not actually an action plan per se, but hopefully it gives you a sense of what the cards are asking you to consider. So in addition to the Lover's card, we see these two. Here is that sage. He is gazing with fiery eyes out over the desert under the beating sun. He is not afraid to stand in the hot eye of Sauron if that's what it takes to get things done. So I love this. My runes are two-sided, one side black and one side white. Oh, interesting. Okay, that totally works. Here we have those black and white pillars in the temple as referred to earlier. So the cards are definitely saying it can work. It can totally work for you. It's about finding a sustainable place where you can authentically be like driven and passionate about moving a product, and also tender and vulnerable about the fact this is something you built because you love it, not just because you were looking for some new thing to sell, right? So I hope that's also useful. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here, everybody. I know our numbers have been creeping up over the last hour, so thank you. Again, my name is Madame Onça, sometimes known as Lady Thekla, also known as Mom. It has been surprisingly delightful for me to be here, considering how sort of frazzled I was just trying to make the space. All the kids are graduating from all the things this week. We've got a box of baby chickens in the other room. There's a sprained ankle. There's been eclipses and madness. And yet we were able to make some time to be together. And I hope that it was as good for you as it was for me. Yeah, by all means, visit me on the Patreon if you like that sort of thing. If you're so inclined, drop me the tipses in the Venmo or the PayPal. Thank you, Patrice. And special thanks to Mab and Murder Beast for dropping in. And thank you, BLC Blondie. I'm sorry I haven't been more available in the last few months. You know, the truth is, because our household is full of performers, we can't all be 100% on the like tour travel thing all the time, because there's all these other people. There's children, there's animals. Like, I am trying to come to grips as an adult, as an artist, with the part where like I have to be available for all of the little people. I mean, I want to be available for all the little people, but that means I can't be 100% committed to every other thing. I cannot. So I am so committed to all of you within the realm of what I can do, while also keeping all of my dependents nurtured, alive, and hopefully growing into their best selves. So thank you for bearing with me as I try to navigate my responsibilities. Yes, the system was downloaded during the pandemic, and I've been working on it for almost a year. Thank you. And for anybody who's not sure, Jonathan and I are going to be doing an interview together. What is it, July 4th, 5th, something right around there. And that will be all on the YouTube, and I'll make sure that the information goes out. It's going to be great. So thank you so much for stopping by, and yeah, all that good stuff. Again, thanks to Mab and Murder Beast. And this is the part where I invite you all to join us again next week, where I endeavor to move forward through the next series of the majors. We'll move on from there, and where I try to find my parting credits. Thank you all. Blessed be.